Allow me to introduce myself. I am the Grim Reaper, taker of souls and guide to the afterlife. I am that which is death, life's ultimate unknown. Join me on a journey into a world of the most nightmarish tales imaginable. I am your host, ReapersHorror, and these are the Reaper's Tales of Strange and Paranormal. Tonight's tale is It Lives in the Closet by ReapersHorror. The 𝐑𝐴𝐸𝐸 home was one of the older houses in the area. Even a new house can indeed have mice, but one might expect it to be more common if the house is old. To a mouse, however, the age of the house doesn't matter. All that matters is that it's warm, and if there is food inside. The 𝐑𝐴𝐸𝐸 home was indeed such a house, and in fact, it did have one small furry visitor living discreetly in a crack, under the floorboards, near the kitchen pantry. At nightfall, the mouse would leave its hiding place in search of its next meal. It circled the entirety of the kitchen with its nose held high, sniffing the air for any food within grabbing distance. Sadly for the mouse, everything was neatly put back in its place. Not even a crumb could be found lying on the floor. The living room was as bare as the kitchen, which was unusual. Typically, this was the place where the family snacked more lazily. Often, one of the children would lose track of a piece of popcorn, or even a whole potato chip while they watched cartoons. The portion of food would then end up making its way under the couch or between the cushions. Tonight was different though, as the family had eaten out for a change of pace. So the living room was also empty of even the tiniest of food particles. As a last resort in its search for a morsel of which to consume, the mouse headed upstairs. It scurried up the stairway banister and searched from room to room. Eventually, the mouse entered little Joey's room. Surely there must be a crumb or two to nibble on in there, the creature thought. Stealthily, the mouse entered the boy's room as Joey laid in bed, sound asleep. The room was mostly tidy, the boy's clothes draped over a chair. A baseball bat leaned against the wall. There were posters of Joey's favorite sports teams and musicians covering the walls. But these things meant nothing to the mouse. The mouse cared only about filling its stomach, and there was nothing here for a mouse to scrounge. That's when the closet door began to open slowly, just a crack. And a baseball-sized white ball of fluff rolled out onto the bedroom floor. This caused the mouse to leap backward and scurry under the bed. The mouse waited for a while, then poked its head out and sniffed the air. The white ball of fluff remained lifeless and still. Cautiously, the mouse crept towards the object with great curiosity. Perhaps this object could be eaten, or perhaps not, but the mouse had to know for sure. And the only way to know for certain was to investigate. So it did. The mouse went right up to the object. It sniffed once, then twice. And just as it was about to open its jaws, a long, hairy, stick-like leg shot out from within the white ball of fluff and pulled the mouse inside before it could finish even a full squeak. There was a sickly sound of sucking of blood and crunching of bones. Before the ball quietly rolled its way back into the closet. The door slammed shut behind it just loud enough to wake little Joey from his slumber. Mom! The boy cried out in terror. His mom entered the room dressed in her nightgown. Worry painted her face as she asked her son what was the matter.
What on earth are you screaming about at this late hour?
The boy pointed to the closet.
There's a monster in my closet,
he said as he pulled the covers over his head in fright.
You've got to be kidding me, Joey.
His mother said with a sigh.
You're far too old to be believing in such things.
The boy shook with fear as he peeked out from underneath his covers.
Fine, I'll check the closet, but afterwards you're going right back to bed. Understood?
Joey nodded in agreement.
My goodness.
His mother exclaimed as she turned the knob and attempted to open the closet door.
The door is jammed tight. I can't get it to budge at all. We'll have to wait till your father comes home from his business trip to see if he can force it open. Until then, can you please just go back to sleep? I promise there are no monsters, okay?
She said with exhaustion in her voice.
Okay, Mom.
Joey said with a smile. He was more at ease at the mere mention of his father coming home. Mrs. Snavely left the room, and the two went back to sleep. The closet door squeaked slightly as it opened back up. Something from inside let out a loud belch as a sunken mouse corpse was tossed out onto the floor. Then the door slammed shut again, just as violently it had before.
Mom!
The boy screamed out in terror again. As she looked into her son's room, she saw a dead mouse and screamed in disgust.
Gross!
She cried out as she looked at the sunken corpse.
Joey, is this your idea of a joke?
She said, clearly angered by what she assumed must be a prank. She tried to open the closet door once more, but just like last time, she was unable to get it to budge.
That's it, young man. Don't let me hear you cry out in the middle of the night anymore. Do you understand me, mister?
She said accusingly. Joey nodded his head in shame before trying to go back to sleep. Before leaving the room, Mrs. Snavely picked the mouse's limp body by the tail and tossed it into the trash can. She screeched as she quickly went to wash her hands in the bathroom down the hall. Had her son Joey not been so frightened by the events that took place that night, he might have found all this to be very amusing. Sadly, he was too worried that whatever was on the other side of the closet door was going to get him. He struggled for an hour, but eventually he was able to doze off again. In the morning, the closet door still would not open, but Joey had to leave for school. The day went on for both Mrs. Snavely and her son as usual. She cleaned the household again from top to bottom as her son, Joey, attended his daily classes. She knew that there was little need to keep their home so tidy, but her husband would be home late that evening in time for dinner. She wanted everything to be perfect for when he returned home from his business trip. That's when she heard a creak of a door open from upstairs. The house must be selling again, she thought. Then she remembered the night before, how she couldn't open her son's closet. Maybe now the door could be opened. As she entered her son's room, she was astonished to see that the closet was ajar. Not only that, but the entirety of the inside was covered in a white, sticky film. It covered every inch of the closet. She got closer to investigate, nearly entering the closet herself. She reached out, trying to brush away some of the webbing with her hand, only to get her arm tangled in it. She pulled and pushed, but could not get free. A large dark mass moved from behind the webbing towards Mrs. Snavely. She screamed as she saw the size of the creature that moved towards her. A long, hairy, stick-like leg poked out from the web. Another followed it, and then another, and another. It had 8 legs in total, and they were all working together to carry the massive body of a fat, gray spider towards her. Mrs. Snavely continued to scream. It leapt from deep within the closet, pounced on top of her, pinning her to the ground. It nearly crushed her with its weight, as it quickly wrapped her into a cocoon, dragging her back into the closet. Mrs. Snavely did her best to scream, but all that she could let out was a muffled cry. When Joey came home from school, he noticed that the front door was covered in a sticky white sheet of film. He couldn't get the door open, no matter how much he tried. He tried to peer inside the house, but the sticky web covered even the windows. That's when Joey heard a tiny voice coming from inside the house.
Help!
It said. It was so muffled that Joey could barely hear it, let alone recognize it. Then the cry came again.
Help!
The voice repeated.
There's a spider! There's a spider!
That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and a message in the comments section below. I am ReapersHorror. Please join me here again next time, because our journey into the strange and paranormal has just begun.